What's up guys, we are back, and today's video I want to share with you all a guide that will definitely help you go through the chemistry questions from the IMAT, especially now that we are less than 4 months away from the exam. So before we get into it, I just want to break down some topics that we're going to be covering in this video. Basically, I separate this video in 3 main topics that is going to help you to organize your study and it's going to guide you. First of all, we're going to be talking about the IMAT Chemistry syllabus. So what the IMAT expect from you when it comes up to chemistry. In order to help you with that, I organize all these topics, all these items in 7 key areas that is going to help you to guide your studies during this process. Secondly, I'm going to be sharing some tips, not some silly tips, but things that I believe they're extremely important and that you should be applying immediately. And finally, but not least, I'm going to tell you exactly what are the chemistry topics that show the most in the IMAT. This is the gold. I have been searching and studying the past 10 years of the IMAT, so it's over 150 questions just of chemistry, and I'm going to tell you exactly what are the questions and the topics that you should be focusing on. So stick around and let's get into it. And here we are, a different day, a different shirt, but the same intention, the same goal. Let's talk about the IMAT chemistry. First of all, guys, I want you to keep in mind that chemistry counts more than you think. Seriously, it can be the difference between passing or failing. A lot of people are going to concentrate in biology, they're going to go well in biology. Well, surprise, they want to be doctors, so that makes more than sense. But you got to think that chemistry is going to be your difference. So with this in mind, let's move on. All right. So I mentioned that I organized all the topics in chemistries and the syllabus in chemistry and key areas. Okay, there will be 7 or 8 key areas. So let's take a look of this. First of all, the matter's fundamental structure. We're talking about understanding the atom, organize, and the elements. So it's very important to keep this in mind and understand pretty well. Secondly, we're going to talk about chemical bonds. Okay. This is also very required. We're talking about covalent bonds, we're talking about ionic bonds, we're talking about metallic bonds that people forget about these, but they are also a type of bond. And we're talking about also interaction, okay, interaction between molecules. And a lot of people just confuse themselves with the difference between chemical bonds and interaction, molecular interaction. Good understanding on that will make you really well prepared for the chemistry exam. Chemical reactions, okay? So understanding stoichiometry, understanding how to balance a chemical reaction. Remember, I'm just going through them, okay? I'm not putting them in order. So solutions, okay? This is also very required, understanding how these solutions interact to each other. If I have alcohol in a mixture with water, what's gonna happen? If I have gasoline, if I mix it with water, what's gonna happen? Okay, so it's important to understand the difference between the interactions of the solutions. Acid, bases, and pH balance. Guys, I can assure you, okay, if I could predict the future, I would say there will be one question about pH balance. It's always like this. You'll always find one question of pH balance. It's not the most complicated thing in the world. You just need to know this and that and you're good. So what makes a solution acid, what makes a solution basic, and what happens when they interact? This is what you need to know. Sixth, oxidation and reduction in thermochemistry. So basically talking about electron transfer, okay? What happens, who oxidate, who reduced? So they want you to identify. Sometimes you can find some questions just asking like, oh, take a look at these 4 or 5 reactions and tell me if there's any element that oxidate. So it's important to be aware of this as well. And 7th, yeah, there will be 8 actually. 7th, we're going to be talking about reaction rates and chemical equilibrium. So what happens if I add a little bit more of acid and how fast the reaction goes, what this influence and the speed of it, that's what they want you to know. And finally, but not least, we're talking about the organic chemistry, okay? But the introduction, okay, just the basics. You don't need to deep yourself into it, but just know how to identify all these functions and know what they do and what happened with them. They usually like to present this topic into some reactions, but it's pretty straightforward when you see one of those, okay? So yeah, these are the 8 topics and 8 key areas that you will be asked. I know it's a lot to take in, but you don't have to master all of these. There's a couple of strategies that you can apply in order to make yourself more efficient and more fast when it comes up to understanding and absorbing this topic. So in the same idea, the next thing I want to talk with you guys is about tips, things that are going to help you to study and focus, especially now that we're less than 4 months away from the exam. Let's go with the first tip here. We have master the fundamentals first. Remember that story about the ladder? So you don't want to just jump into the third step and hope that you're gonna make it. It's important to go step by step. Okay, what is the most important thing at the moment? Secondly, practice, practice, and more practice. I know I mentioned this a lot in the previous video, but this is the secret. This is what is gonna make the difference, because if you just do it once, see it once, you're gonna forget. Our brain is just built to focus on important things, and if you don't tell your brain this is important, he won't give a damn. Tip number 3, understand, don't just memorize. Okay, I know that memorizing can help. Chemistry, there's a lot of things that you have to memorize in order to go further, but understanding is the key. Okay, when it comes up to the atomic theories, for example, it's pretty hard to memorize them. There are a lot of things going on, but understand how this knowledge was built will make you retain this information like forever. Okay, and guys, just a spoiler, but atomic theory is something that they usually ask a lot. Let's go to the 4th tip. Create killer summary sheets. This is important. This is something that I think it's one of the most important tips I'm giving here, guys. A lot of you guys sometimes just watch some YouTube videos, grab some book, just read, watch a video, and they don't do nothing about it. You don't do nothing about it. You're just seeing passively. You know, knowledge is built by association of methods. I know a lot of people learn differently. There's people that hearing it works better than writing, it works better than seeing. But if you combine all these things together, there's no way you're not going to learn. It's impossible. It's going to be obvious that you understood the topic because you listened, you wrote it, you saw it. Okay, so it's important. And the summary sheet that I'm talking about is just making an abstract of the topic. Write it down, what you understand from it. This is going to be your guide for the future. This is going to be your guide for your last week before the test. You know, there's some YouTubers that usually share with you their flashcards. They share with you their abstract, their summary sheets. Okay, but that's not good. You're not the one who did that. He did that, and it worked for him because he did it. Okay, so have it yourself as well. 5th tip. Do simulations, mock tests. So this is really important. This is going to be a way for you to track your progression on how you're doing on these tests. These are the 5 main tips I have for you all, but there's an extra tip here, and this is in my opinion. Okay, get a damn period table. Okay, the period table, you won't have access to it, but get it. Print like 5 of them, and just spread it into your room, into your house, so you can see it every day. Because a lot of the questions in chemistry, if you can remember what is the atomic mass of carbon, for example, or oxygen, or how many electrons they have, that's gonna make a huge difference. So get used to the period table. That will help you a lot. That's a personal and special tip for you. But let's move on for the moment that you all are waiting for. I personally went through every available IMAT Chemistry paper from 2014 until 2024, and that's over 130 questions, and I organized them in order of frequency. It's basically what are the chemistry questions that shows the most in the IMAT exam. So let's not lose any more time and let's go. But wait, before we go further, let me ask you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There will be a lot of videos coming up, things like this. I'll be talking about mathematics, biology, and general knowledge, things that are also super important for the exam. Okay, so subscribe to the channel. Let's make this channel grow, and let's go. So here it is. We basically have all the topics here, the number of questions that I could find from this period, and the percentage of each one of them. Number 1, it's no secret. I'm pretty sure you all had an idea. Structure of matter is what shows the most, okay? 33 questions. If you master this, you're basically guaranteeing almost 25% of all the questions in chemistry. And this is the easy part. Secondly, organic chemistry, okay? But don't be afraid. Once again, the organic chemistry that they're gonna ask from you, it's gonna be fundamental, okay? It's going to be fundamental. So Secondly, we have organic chemistry, but don't panic, it's basically the fundamental organic chemistry. The questions won't be hard, they just want to know if you understand the functions and the differences between organic molecule. So we have 16%. After that, we have acid, basic, and pH. That's no secret as well. As I told you, there will always be at least one question of pH in the IMAT exam, and here we have 21 all in all from 139. This is 15%. If you combine these three first topics, you can guarantee 50% of all the questions. 50%, that is a huge number when you compare to the average, okay? So mastering these three topics, you're good to go. Also, after that, we have chemical bonds, easy questions as well. We have 20, they're competing pretty well here. After that, solutions with 14 questions, 10%, reaction 12, oxidations and reductions 11, reactions rate and equilibrium 8 questions. Well, that's great news because usually people struggles a lot with these last three here, and they are the least often questions. These are more complicated questions. What I'm telling you here is to focus on what really matters. Alright, so how can this knowledge help you to organize and focus your study? First of all, you need to prioritize your study time. We don't have a lot of time ahead of us. There's less than 4 months until the exam. So now that you know what are the topics that shows up the most, focus on that. You don't need to do 100%. You just need to do a reasonable point in order to succeed. Okay, so time matters a lot. Secondly, optimize your study. So grab these topics that really matters and start studying them efficiently. There's a lot of strategies that you can apply into it. There's a lot of people talking about it, but some of them you're going to develop yourself, and you're only able to do that by practicing, by going through the last exams, going through the questions and testing yourself, challenging yourself. Thirdly, it's really important for you to review what you study. If you don't do that, your brain is just going to grab all this information and put it aside because it's going to understand that it's not important. So review, review, review. And finally, relax. Okay, it's not as hard as you think. As I mentioned in the previous video, your lack of knowledge in chemistry is not as big as you think. And now that you know what really matters, just focus on that and be confident. Anxiety will only make you more nervous and will make you sabotage yourself. So just take a deep breath and relax. So guys, if you think this video helped you some way, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. That's gonna mean the world for me. Let's make this channel grow. There's a lot of things that I want to bring it on. If you want me to talk about something specifically, just let me know. Drop a comment, get in touch with me. Let's work this together. Thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you guys.